Place of Lifers will let you know you are, of course, at the Life Be Lifing podcast hosted by none other than your favorite fat freckle man, your favorite coach's favorite coach, the big dog himself. Who? It's Big Nah. We here at the Life Be Lifing podcast on the late, on the latest of keys. So, I can just, easily and briefly explain to you guys why um the show did not start on time at 9 o'clock. Peace and love, broski. Thanks for tapping in with me, man. Um, so I'm gonna explain to you guys why the show did not start on time. I was tempted to not do tonight's episode at all with the way things went, but y'all my peoples, and I know Talk Heavy, the Talk Heavy podcast. Shout out to Dev, shout out to Slice, shout out to GB. They got their live show tomorrow night, and I'm going to be in attendance for said live show. So it's not even like I could make it up to you guys by being able to drop a pod tomorrow night. Um, and then I have a funeral to attend for the dear beloved and departed Carol Campbell. Um, her funeral is on Sunday, so um, I know I'm probably not gonna make a pod Saturday night, knowing that I might be hanging with you know my niece and nephew, or making myself available to, I should say, not even hanging with, but I should say making myself available to my niece and nephew for any last minute preparations for the funeral. Um, Shout out to baby girl, shout out to Rel. I love y'all. Um, so yeah, I just didn't see there being a time to drop a makeup pod. So I figure I'd rather give y'all some content than give y'all no content at all. But before I get into the story, I want to make sure, of course, that I get the for those who for some odd reason still don't get the notifications when they're supposed to get them. I want to make sure to get the pod out to whoever can see it. And usually one of the quickest ways to do that is to make sure it's shared on the socials. So as I do that, how's you guys week going? I hope everything is good with y'all. I hope y'all been safe. I hope y'all been navigating, especially if you live in Philly. I hope y'all been navigating this up and down weather appropriately and safely. You know what I'm saying? Having extra layers, because Lord knows in the morning, cold, brick. You know what I mean? What that girl said, we can't say chili no more. When I was on, we heard the clip of this girl talking about some words men can't use, and chili was among them. But it be Chili Mills outside. You heard me? Chili Willie, you heard? Chill Smith outside in the mornings. Um, and then by the time you leave work, the sun is shining, it's bright. You gotta drive with your windows down because it don't even make sense turning on the AC. It's so nice outside. Just drive, let the breeze go through your hair. You know what I'm saying? Just enjoy enjoy the vibes on the drive home, man. Like that's really how it be. So you gotta have a lot of a lot of ladies. I know y'all got the shawl that y'all keep over y'all in the morning, and then maybe you leave it at work, or maybe you tuck it in the bag on the way home. Brothers, I of course suggest a good hoodie, a good quality hoodie is what you need at this point. You don't necessarily need a coat. I do be feeling bad for the little people, because little people, they need a coat in the morning. um because it be cold, and nobody trying to have to go to urgent care because they little one and caught a cold. But it be kids get hot. So then later on, like I know my 9-year-old, he definitely don't be one to have that coat on the way home sometimes. But listen, I gotta look out for his best interests. So I won't be before you guys long because it's after 10. I know folks gotta work tomorrow. I know I gotta work tomorrow. So normally I'll be wrapping up right about now. But again, I'm trying to make sure that I get the YouTube episode out on the socials for folks to see, for folks to join and whatnot. But yeah, man, I hope things been going good with y'all. Um, as always, man, if you are not already subscribed to the YouTube, by all means, subscribe. I dropped a post on Facebook the other day saying that I was at 140 viewers, and somehow I ended up at 139. But we back to 141 as of today, folks. So whoever quit either came back or I got two more. Either way, I appreciate y'all. It's a blessing to have y'all rocking with me, man. I don't take that for granted. The goal last year was 150. So that means I'm even closer to the goal than I was when I made that post, before I made that post. Because every single sub counts. So the end of this year's goal is 250. Yes, it's ambitious to have not hit 150 by the end of last year and still have the goal of 250 this year. But man, listen, first and foremost, I'm not a fan of limiting. I'm not a fan of limiting myself when I have the potential and the possibility to do things. I'm not a fan of limiting the blessings that God could provide for me, the doors He could open for me. You know what I'm saying? There's still things, still projects I'm working on this year, and those projects alone, or those opportunities alone, could blow the doors off of, what I got going on in terms of exposure, putting me in front of more people because I believe in the content. I believe in the content. So I let the content, as long as I make sure the content is good, I make sure the conversations are understandable. Um, I do my best to try to be relatable. And at that point, man, I let that work for itself. You know what I'm saying? Once the content takes care of itself, it's just about being somewhere where somebody can see and hear it. But other than that, shoot, uh, currently having a physical malfunction that is a part of tonight's story as far as the delay, um, as far as what contributed to the delay in the episode and why I almost didn't do the episode at all. Um, but first, I want to make a correction from last week's episode when I spoke on the Jaden Ivy situation, because once you get proper info, you should make corrections, right? If you were speaking on if you're speaking from a perspective, and especially if you was confident about that, and then you come to find out that you were incorrect, you should go back and what they say. Now I don't know about, and well, I guess I can apologize. So I apologize publicly because I was wrong publicly. Um, my guy Kane was good, man. And since I was wrong publicly about something I said about his situation, I could apologize and make the correction. So one of the things that I speculated, um, and I want to make sure I emphasize the word speculate, because when I said it, I was wrong because I didn't have any facts. It was just my opinion based on how things appeared, which is literally speculation. Um, Appreciate you, man. Definitely, when y'all come in here, go ahead, give it a like. If you ain't following, follow. And, of course, shares always help. Um, Trying to get to the point where I get that little hype feature on the side of the video. And I don't know if I have it or not, but if y'all ever see the hype feature on the video, please go ahead and hype the joint up so that the exposure, gets out there. The exposure increases for the pod, for the show. So one of the things I said about Jaden Ivey, with his current expression of his, faith and his opinions and stuff like that, I speculated that he was being more vocal, or that he was being vocal. Yeah, he was making it a point to be vocal about it now because he wasn't playing that many minutes. Um, because he got traded to Chicago, and he had another injury. So we're hearing about it now because he has more time on his hands. That was an incorrect speculation because, according to more information, apparently Jaden Ivy had been. Now, granted, he wasn't doing it on IG Live, but apparently in real life, in real time, while he was still with the Pistons, he was, and I'm gonna say allegedly this time. Allegedly, he was going around, asking certain questions, asking people if they still fornicate, questioning why people did this, questioning why people did that, and kind of, I guess you could say, imposing his faith. Ooh, not his face, imposing his faith on others. And one thing about your spirituality or your religion, you're entitled to have it. You're even in most cases encouraged by your spiritual beliefs or by your religion to share the joy of your spiritual beliefs and your religious beliefs. But sharing the joy does not mean you impose your principles upon others. It means you stand on your own principles, on the principles of the faith, things you will not do, things you will not say, things you will do, things you will say. But you are not to impose it upon others, and you're not to use it as a way to judge or condemn others. So that's where he's still wrong at. But where I was wrong at was making the incorrect assumption that this is something that has come on, certainly because he has more time on his hands as he's rehabbing from his injury. Now, maybe, and again, this is speculation. I'll put that out this time specifically. Maybe that's why we're seeing the IG lives, is because he's not, on the court anymore. But apparently he has been vocal about, particular things having to do with his faith. Um, and it just didn't cause as much a problem then because he wasn't directly attacking the NBA. And he wasn't directly, um, you know, publicly attacking certain lifestyles, or you know as I call them, the letters community. And yeah, I'm so while people will always be worried about getting canceled and stuff like that, and I don't have no problem with your lifestyle. Like, as far as, I'm not finna judge your lifestyle or make a podcast episode about your lifestyle. If that's what y'all into, whatever y'all like sexually is not my business. As long as nobody is you know liking children, liking underage children, or liking people who are barely coming out of children. Like, if you're 40 and you're into 19 and 20-year-olds, I do side eye you. I'm not gonna lie, that's my personal um thing. So I don't want to make that law. But now, underage, yes, underage is definitely law. But my personal thing about, you being, 50 and 40 and dating a 20-year-old, yes, I side eye you very harshly. But outside of that, like, whatever you like, same sex, different sex, no sex, whatever it is, that's not, it don't take no sweat off my back. It don't take no food off my plate, so I ain't tussling about it. However, do I make jokes like, referring to the LGBTQ plus as the letters, the alphabet, stuff like that? Yeah, because it's not a judgment on their character, it's not a judgment on their lifestyle. It's just a play on, the term. And I'm not afraid to make those kind of jokes, simply because if you get to sit here and redefine um what I'm known as, right? Like, y'all get to sit here and tell me that I am a quote unquote cisgendered heterosexual male as opposed to just being a heterosexual male, because you have to include this other part to distinguish this from that. That's fine. That's fine. I didn't agree to that though. I didn't agree to that. I didn't agree to anything being changed as far as my description. I already had one, heterosexual male. Um, that works for me. But if you can do that in a serious way, then I can make fun of y'all title in a joking way. It's still not no diss to y'all or y'all way of life or what y'all got going on. So that's just that's just me personally. All right. So, like I said, I won't take up too much of y'all time tonight. I will get now to the reason as to why unfortunately this episode was so late. The reason this episode was so late is two factors specifically. Um Apologize for the TMI, but nature called. To be honest with you, it all started because nature called. Um, Not at the most opportune time, at a very inopportune time, because I'm ready to hit the button to go live. So there was that. Um, then on top of it, okay, cool. I'm done sanitizing myself, cleaning up, whatever, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't gonna get too much into personal business, but I'm not one of them people that just, go ahead, hit the porcelain throne, wipe with toilet paper, get up, wash their hands, and go on about their business. Nah, nah, nah. I need to thoroughly be cleaned. Um, that being said, after which, I have an injury. Well, not injury. I don't want to make it sound like injury, because after having an Achilles tear and know people with MCLs and ACL tears, I don't want to say injury. I have a scrape on my right leg, like on the shin, kind of. So it has. So there was the initial scrape. It scabbed over. Um, the scab came off after my last game last week on Wednesday night. Um, for those who may not know, I've been playing on men's leagues on Wednesday nights. Um, and we lost this week, but the get back is next week. And we coming in there on dog shit. Like, we really gonna come in there with an attitude and a different mindset this week. So shout out to my guys. Uh so there was, some bleeding and stuff like that, but I had my, alcohol prep wipes and stuff like that. I got prox, I got all, the typical things you have in the house, band-aids, the typical things you have in the house to treat that situation. Plus, I had hooped anyway, so I was gonna go and get in the shower. So that's what I did. I went in the shower, washed up like you do in the shower, and then when I got out, I treated the area with a little bit more peroxide, put a band-aid over it, went on my way. It scabbed back over, and apparently tonight, um, unfortunately, having a 9-year-old means sometimes they miss the toilet, right? So after getting up and, using the toilet and cleaning myself up, whatever, whatever, I did notice, on the base of the toilet, I did notice, some evidence that he had missed. So, I'm getting the cleaning supplies to go ahead and, clean up whatever, whatever, the spray, the wipes, da 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 da. I lose my balance just a little bit, and I brush my leg up against the sink, the base of the sink. And the sink with the cabinet directly under it or whatever, right? So on the edge of it, I scraped my leg on it, and it didn't open the scab all the way, but it opened it enough to where it has been continuously bleeding since then. Only problem is I ran out of band-aids. It's, 950 at this point. Um by the time I finally get it to stop bleeding. So there's the option to try to run to the market and go get some band-aids and then come back. But I didn't want to not leave you guys with an episode. It's not like loss of life levels of blood. It's just that it kept trickling down my leg, and that's unseemly. It's unclean. You know, what I mean, I can't go to bed like that. I can't lay next to my wife like that. I don't want dried up blood on my leg or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's not enough to where it's dangerous. I got to go to urgent care or anything like that. But it just seemed to keep bleeding. Like every time I moved it, it seemed like it flexed and maybe a little bit more blood. So that was been taking a while. And the area around the scab has been itching uh damn near all night, even when I went to go use the bathroom. So it's kind of annoying, and I'm trying to be careful to scratch around the area and not scratch it again to where now it's more blood, because like I said, the entire scab didn't come off. um So if that's TMI for anybody, I apologize. I hope nobody's squeamish. I hope nobody's like, ew, yuck. But it's such as life, man. So that's my life be life moment for tonight. Is that nature hit at the wrong time? Shit happens. Yo, that's low key. Shit happens. That's low key a double entendre, bro. I know you didn't do that on purpose, but considering what happened tonight, that's a that was a good one. But yeah, so that's all. Like I said, it wasn't, it's not the worst thing. It's just inconvenient things happening at an inconvenient time. Hence, like I said, life be life. So before we get out of here, one of the things I want to do a few things. First and foremost, um, I want to once again. I feel like I'm like announcing losses all the time, and it's something that I got to unpack in therapy in terms of how many deaths I've experienced within the last couple of years and how frequent it's become. Um, But that conversation about grief and the change in how I grieve, or the sudden change in how I grieve, is an episode for another day. But I do want to, of course, say rest in peace to Carol Campbell. She was, like a friend of the family. Like when I say, my niece and my nephew and my aunt, these are not my literal, mother's sisters, but these are people that I grew up with when I was going to church, like pretty much my whole life, and we're that close. So, it's kind of like, how black people always be adopting people into their family. So yes, it's that kind of aunt, it's that kind of niece, it's that kind of nephew. Um, so, to her kids, her sister, that she leaves behind, I love you guys. I'm here for y'all as much as possible. Um, You know what I mean? The same way that she appreciated me stepping for y'all while she was here, it'll be, I won't say it will be no different, because I'll probably be even more intentional about making sure I'm present for y'all and stepping for y'all in her loss, because know that's something that she would want. And you know what I'm saying? So definitely to honor her good spirit, her kindness, and all that. And she was just really like a lovely person, man. Like if you ever want, people always had bad examples of Christians and stuff like that. I think she was a great example. So definitely rest in peace to her. Um, Rest in peace to one of my young boys from the Creek from West Philly, uh, Savion, unfortunately another victim of gun violence. Um, he was gunned down in a store in University City the other day. I don't know the particulars. I don't know. Um, uh, Thank you for stopping to the channel. Glad you're getting some new eyes. Appreciate you. Hope you enjoy the content. Hope you enjoy your stay here. Um, this is indeed the Life Be Life podcast, and we're of course always welcoming the new viewers. Um, But yeah, as I was saying, rest in peace to Savion. I appreciate you. I appreciate him for, stepping out for some of the, uh, community activities that I had, some of the activist activities that I had. He came and supported, and just even something as simple as celebrating the being there for the celebration of life um, for my younger cousin Aiden, who we lost last year. Um, just being there to help put the chairs up. You know what I'm saying? To help keep my younger cousin company and stuff like that, just the conversations we was having. I mean, just an incredible soul for a person of his young age, man, in his 20s. You know what I mean? Like, I know you don't know what everybody do on a off time, but can't nobody convince me that he deserved to get gunned down like that, man. So uh rest in peace to him. God bless and strengthen the families, strengthen his mom, strengthen his family, his friends, everybody who, is mourning and missing him. And absolutely, Savion, you will be missed. But to go on to other things, congratulations to my homie. You knew her as, or I introduced her as Taya the Curator, but she is now in her author phase. So she will be known as Author T. My homie from Podcast Link Philly, Taya Moore, who is tonight celebrating the fifth, or has, because the event is over by now, was celebrating the fifth anniversary of her business. So shout out to Taya. Shout out to Author T. Proud of you, homie. Proud of you. I'm proud of you. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate your support, everything you do for Podcast Link Philly, everything you've done for Life Be Life, and the things you do for me personally as a friend. So definitely want to give you your flowers. So when you see this, you know that even though I couldn't be there physically, the support is still, still what it is. You know what's going on. You know what's going on, homie. You know how we get down. You heard me? You already. So shout out to Taya. And let's get into this last piece of content, man. So I will be sharing my screen. Let's get into this last piece of content, or this piece of content for the episode. Hold on, before I play it. I guess I could set the tone for it before I play it. So, this is so the word accountability, whether it's a podcast or social media posts, it gets thrown around a lot. So this conversation is about what accountability looks like for men. Being as though I'm doing a solo episode tonight, you know what I'm saying? There's not a lady joining me. I don't think it's fair to have a conversation about accountability between men and women with no audible woman's voice present. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's fair. I think that's slanted, and that's not how we rock over here. So I'm gonna just keep it to men. So even for the women who are watching, or the women who got this on in the background, you know, y'all could still benefit from, hearing a conversation from our point of view, because I'm sure there are women who wonder, what accountability looks like between men, from one man to another. So hopefully, when I play this, y'all get
ask a question for my men. What exactly does accountability look like?
So, do men hold men accountable? No, right? But it's a lot of caveats to it. No, we don't. No, we don't. But it's like, as a man, I'm not going to share those aspects of my life in a lot of the cases, right? As a man, I know what I can bring to Markeith. I know, as him being my frat brother, him being my real brother, but he knows what he can bring to me, and I know what I can bring to him. He knows what I'm going to accept. He knows what. So I know, Markeith, he ain't that dude. I know his pops. I know his moms. it's my church. I can't take that over there. I'm not gonna put myself in a situation as a man to bring that to his front door in a lot of cases. And that's self-accountability on my end. That man has a family. If I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do in the dark, I'm gonna do it in the dark by myself. Or if not, I'm gonna go to a person who's going to accept that behavior and I'm gonna go hang out with them on that side. And that's the self-accountability on your end. So do we hold yourself accountable? No, because in most cases, we don't open that door as men. We don't hold each other accountable because we don't share that aspect of our life with each other enough for it to be held accountable.
I guess I just want to ask a question for my men. What exactly does accountability look like?
So do men hold men accountable? No. Right? But it's a lot of caveats to it. No, we don't. No, we don't. But it's like, as a man, I'm not going to share those aspects of my life in a lot of the cases, right? As a man, I know what I can bring to Markeith. I know, as him being my frat brother, him being my real brother, but he knows what he can bring to me, and I know what I can bring to him. He knows what I'm going to accept, and he knows what. So I know Markeith, he ain't that dude. I know his pops, I know his moms. It's my church. I can't take that over there. I'm not gonna put myself in a situation as a man to bring that to his front door in a lot of cases. And that's self-accountability on my end. That man has a family. If I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do in the dark, I'm gonna do it in the dark by myself. Or if not, I'm gonna go to a person who's going to accept that behavior and I'm gonna go hang out with them on that side. And that's the self-accountability on your end. So do we hold yourself accountable? No, because in most cases, we don't open that door as men. We don't hold each other accountable because we don't share that aspect of our life with each other enough for it to be held accountable.
All right. So that's that brother's point of view on accountability between men. Let me, of course, be the first to say I completely disagree with him. Now I will say I understand where he's coming from, though, to be completely honest and not to be disingenuous and not to be, lopsided or heavy-handed. I completely understand where he's coming from the stance of you can't hold somebody accountable about the things that you don't know. Now, I will say that I've had friends, right? I've had friends where what we have is the plausible deniability clause, right? If I'm cool, especially in a situation where if I'm cool with your girl, like outside of you, if I was cool with her first, for example, right? If I was cool with her first and we got cool because I met her through you, and you decide you're gonna start cheating on old girl, don't bring it to me. Don't bring it to me. Because I can't. Not only will I not let it slide, I can't let it slide because to do so would be to betray my friend. Me and you wouldn't even be friends if not for my friendship with her. So I'm not going to stab her in the back, playing her face, play dumb whole time. I know how you move it because that's going to put me and you into conflict, right? So the only way you could bring it to me is if you're trying to figure out how to talk to her about it, how to tell her about it. And in that case, yes, me and you can sit down because we're both men, because neither one of us are perfect. You know what I'm saying? And we can both have the conversation about what we think, knowing her specifically, what we think would be the best way for you to approach the conversation with her about being honest about what you did and moving forward, if moving forward is even still possible, right? Cool. But outside of that, if you are sneaking around, or if you're committing a crime or a felony, you know what I'm saying? Those kind of things. Plausible deniability. If you about to go out and catch a homie, for those who may not know what that vernacular means, it means commit homicide. If you are finna go do that and you're not coming to me because you want to be talked down the ledge, but you just want to share the details, I am not like Pooh Shiesty friends who's gonna hear you come up with a plan that's gonna ruin your life, and I'm gonna sit there. No, I don't condone. I do not condone. I do not condone such a thing. You know what I'm saying? Um, no. What am I gonna let you go do that for? What am I gonna let you go do that for? You know what I'm saying? Now, some might do something to, one of your kids, your mama, your wife, or something like that. And it's time to go slide. That's a totally different story. We ain't gonna get into that, man. But like, yeah, seriously, if you're about to go hit a lick, you about to go commit a robbery, you're about to do something like that. Yeah, keep me out of that. Keep me out of that. Because then if the cops come, because I don't want to be no snitch, but I'm not going to jail and giving away my freedom because they tied me to you committing this felony that you had no business committing. You know what I'm saying? So yes, there's the plausible deniability act that I install in my friendships where certain things, yeah, just don't tell me about if you're that committed to doing it. Now, if you know you're not that committed and you want to be talked off the ledge, fine, fine. That's a totally different thing, right? Because we've all been there where we've been at a crossroads and our conscience is eating us about it. You know what I'm saying? It's eating at us about it. We are not quite sure. We really, we want to do it, but because we know it's the wrong thing to do it, we need that person who we trust, that person who we respect, that person who we know is not going to tell us what we want to hear, but what we need to hear. So we go to that person to get the raw truth. We get to go to that person to get the honest assessment, and that person, to be the voice of reason that we can't hear in our own heads for some reason. That's different. But in terms of outside of those particular things, then no, it doesn't apply. You know what I'm saying? If you're having trouble in your relationship and in your marriage, right? Because you don't have to come to me once you start cheating on your girl. If I'm your friend, you're supposed to come to me before you start cheating on your girl. If I'm your friend, if I'm your bro, when things start getting sad in a relationship, when things start getting bad in a relationship, when things start getting crazy in a relationship. So before you even start eyeing this broad like that, or before you start to realize girl over here, was throwing you rhythm and it kind of seemed like the grass might be good on her side. Like before it even got to that, we were supposed to already be in conversations. If we bros like that, we was already supposed to be in conversation about, what's holding you back or what's getting in the way of your relationship. Maybe things that you could do, um, maybe things you could bring to her. Um, you know what I'm saying? These different things. Um, but outside of that, to say that men don't hold each other accountable, no. I get where he was going. I get the shot he was trying to take, but he airballed. He bricked it. Like it was really bad form because it made him look sneaky as hell, didn't it? It made this man look sneaky as hell. And it made him really just sound untrustworthy amongst his friends. Like whenever he finna go do something sneaky, he just lied to his friends. That's what it sounded like. Like you just a guy who just lied to your homies. So that was really bad for him. But like I said, I understand leaving your partner now in the dark about certain things that could harm them if they knew. But saying like, yeah, I'm gonna go to this friend that supports this kind of debauchery and this kind of foolishness. I'm not gonna bring it to that friend because I know they stand on business and principle and stuff like that. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. You're ducking accountability. Let's start there. That's not about men not holding each other accountable. That's about you as a man not being accountable. Keep that on you and your watch, broski. That's you choosing directly to duck accountability. So the same way they say that women run to the sister code, that they run to the sisterhood online, or they run to their homegirls that's gonna back up their terrible decisions and then talk bad about them in a whole nother group chat. Bro, you on the same type time. You are ducking the smoke of accountability. Intentionally so. That's different. That is different. So you can't speak for us, man, and say we don't hold each other accountable because we can't hold each other accountable. No, no, sir. No, no, sir. Your friends can't hold you accountable because you're a sneaking a motherfucking liar. You, sir, duck accountability. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't bring the rest of us down with you, Brusky. Don't bring the rest of us down with you. Nah, man. Okay, I'm always in this situation because I'm 1 foot in the hood and 1 foot out. They think they can trust me with the end, and I let them know. Don't put me in nothing that you don't want me to choose. Hey, real talk. Don't make me choose. Don't make me choose between you and the right thing. Because what can you say? Because I'm choosing the right. Now that's different. That's different. And truth be told, bro, a lot of us kind of like, you know what I'm saying, in some ways, especially depending on the friends we still have, might be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So I completely understand what you're saying, man. Completely. But yeah, I disagree with him that men don't hold each other accountable. I even disagree with the frame that he holds it to, as if men don't hold each other accountable because we can't hold each other accountable. I gave really, like I said, I understand what he was trying to say because there are specific situations with which, yes, you have to leave your brothers in the dark. You have to leave your friends in the dark. But if you choose to do that thing, that you know you have to leave your bros in the dark about, it's not that we are not holding you accountable. It's that you refuse to be held accountable. Just to be clear, you're refusing to be held accountable by other people. That's a totally different choice. Don't That does not reflect whether or not men hold each other accountable. That doesn't even reflect our commitment to holding each other accountable. That only reflects that you're so committed to the act that you're going to duck any possibility of being held accountable before you can commit the act. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. But that's all I got for us tonight. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I was not trying to be here long. But things kind of, the conversation went the way it went. I didn't want to not give flowers to who I wanted to, give flowers to. Like I said, the dearly departed, and of course, my homegirl Taya. Shout out to everything that she's doing. Uh, you know, um, she's also going to be offering her services a as a curator. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be posting her flyers soon about that kind of thing. Yeah, man, we can't hold men accountable when they hide the wrong shit they doing. And he was saying that, but the framework of it was bad. That's what he was trying to say. But the framework that he set up is bad because what he didn't just come out and say is that people like him are refusing to accept accountability. But men will hold you accountable for what we do know. He didn't put that in that proper phrase, or maybe he did, and because editing could be wicked, because clearly that joint was edited. We seen it was chopped, so maybe he did say that at some point during the conversation. It just didn't make the clip. So I'll go there. In fact, for calling him a sneak and a liar, I rescind that comment. I mean, he might be, but I rescind that comment because no. I take the sneak part back, but I don't know about the liar part. I keep the sneak part, but I don't know about the liar part. So maybe he did admit that about himself, and it just didn't make the clip. That's why I say all the time, I don't hang with the type of dudes women talk about all the time. And probably hot. Yo, okay. So this is one last thing because this is one last thing because you brought up this really great point, right? Because I've seen women make this kind of post all the time. Women will sit there and say that they are mad at us, at men, because when they talk about, these dudes who commit sexual assault, who commits SA, who commits great, whatever it is, right? And we be like, we don't know those dudes. They be like, there's, this many men out of such and such, and none of y'all know them. No, we don't. We don't know them. Have we met men who we seen could possibly be on that time? Yes. We see the creepy bull. We see the perv bull. And we've been ready to go ahead and check them if they step on that type time, right? Excuse me. We've got women out of situations when we realize that that's the type of situation it is. Like you see him eyeing this girl, you know what I'm saying? Especially if it's a young girl, you come and you bump through square in his chest, or you stand directly in vision between him and that young girl he looking at. Or you've seen the arguments that go down between somebody who's clearly abusive as a male and a female, and then people have interceded. Unfortunately, that's led to jail time and death, but it happens. Sometimes you don't always get to walk away from that situation, but it happens, and it's not rare. It's not as rare as people would like it to seem. So when it comes to the kind of guys who would do these things, they are not going to show that side of them around stand-up people who have not fine line, but very thick boundaries about these kinds of behaviors. You're not going to put yourself there because you're in danger. You know what I'm saying? If you're the kind of dude who likes to date underage girls, you're not going to hang with this pack of guys because you're going to get beat the fuck up when they find out, or if they find out, or word gets back to them. They're not going to talk to you about it, no matter how long y'all been friends, because now they feel betrayed because it was a snake amongst us, right? It's just gonna be a bunch of rage. I ain't even gotta break it all down, but once they find out, rage is gonna take over, and you are in danger now, sir. You are very much in danger. So no, those kind of guys who obviously share those kind of traits don't hang around my type of guys. Now, it's not to say that you might not have these traits and you might not be this kind of person and you're good at hiding it and you infiltrated a set of solid guys. Sometimes that happens, right? Right. But more often than not, you're not going to be the kind of guy who shows these traits and then you can mingle with us. Fuck no. It don't go like that. Exactly. Exactly. Imagine hanging out with a dude who is like that. Nah, we ain't on that. Boom. So yes, when women sit there, yes, we know these dudes exist. We know the perverts exist. We know the nasty men exist. But they cannot move with us the way they move. They can't be who they are and then move with us. They got to move with a different set of dudes that allow that sort of thing. That's all we be saying. Um, Appreciate y'all for everybody who tapped in. Um, Please, absolutely. If you watch before you go, I hope that you hit like. I hope that you subscribed. I hope that you enjoyed the episode. If you did not enjoy the episode, I hope you leave me something in the comments to let me know what you didn't like. You know what I'm saying? Because all information for me is good information. Now, if you just want to bid and crack jokes or whatever, it is what it is. I'm gonna ignore it, or I might, decide to get up with you, and we have a joke fest, whatever. But more than likely, I'll just skip past because I'm looking for the information, be it praise or be it criticism, that's going to help continue to elevate this podcast space. Shout out to all the lifers, man. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to the newbies. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Life Be Lifing. If this was your first time, hopefully this ain't your last time. But I appreciate your time regardless. As I shout out to A.C.E, my brother, that's who we always be. Shout out to the sponsor of Life Be Lifing and the Two Kings 215 podcast. Denver's mom, my homegirl, one of my infinity stones, as I refer to my best friends. Keish with the cake. Shout out to everybody who was in the chat tonight. Fobs, Hello Kitty, Kenyon, and anybody else who I didn't see. I appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. As I always say, be smart, be respectful, be patient, be kind to as many people as you possibly can. Yes, I know some are not going to make that possible, but that's fine. Just make sure every single day, take time out, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, an hour, to be kind to yourself, because you cannot pour out of an empty cup. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all once again. My apologies for life in the way it did. Hopefully, y'all understand and y'all still come back. And if you didn't catch it live, you catch it on the playback. Y'all be safe, stay dangerous. Appreciate y'all as always. I'm up out of here. Love.